Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today's pick a card reading, we're asking very expressly what secret is being hidden from you and why. Now, it's possible this is a challenging secret or something that might be a bit upsetting. So I guess I should say right at the beginning, trigger warning, please don't take on anything from this unless you really believe that it fits your situation, the people that are being described who might be the secret keepers and so forth. So remember, it's a collective reading. Don't try and force something on it if it doesn't work for you. Maybe try another reading of the choice, or don't get too carried away, as I say, if it's negative. It may not be negative. It might be a wonderful secret. It might be something that is really fantastic to be revealed to you, and it's just a bit of a surprise, in which case, if people are keeping a surprise from you and you've got a bit of a heads up about it now, maybe act surprised when you see it. So use your discretion and your wisdom in terms of the information that comes from a reading like this. But we're going to look at what the nature of the secret may be. We're going to have a look at why it's being kept, and then we're going to see if we can get a little bit of an idea about who the secret keeper is or who the secret keepers are, a little bit more around them in terms of the energy around them. And we'll look at that a little bit right at the beginning, and then also with tarot as well. So we'll also give you some signs and other things to look out for around what's most positive and also what might be most challenging in it. So by way of choice, what I felt like using was the Halloween Forever Oracle from Blue Angel Publishing, because I felt like Halloween is all about the time of the thinning of the veil, when secrets and the connection between this world and the liminal realms, it's a little bit easier to access. So I thought that's a good sort of motif, so to speak, for the choice and for a little bit about what the secret might be. So hopefully that will help with your choice. But if you always go to pile 3, go to pile 3. And if you want to go to more than one, go to more than one. That's all completely up to you. But for pile number 1, we have Light into Darkness with the card number 5, in case numbers draw you. For pile number 2, we have Ophelia's Ghost with card number 35. And for pile number 3, we have Work Your Magic with card number 7. So when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So you came to Light into Darkness. And here we have some energies from the secret keeper or keepers. So it could be two aspects of one person, or it could be more than one person. It could even be a group that are kind of represented by this. Then we have a little bit of context. So Light into Darkness is an interesting card for the purposes of this, and I did shuffle intuitively. I had no idea what cards were going to come out. I went with what Spirit said. Light into Darkness is about facing your fears. So I think that there's something here. It's a secret that you might be a little bit afraid to hear, or it might be a secret. I think of people who are successful and you're wondering whether you can actually have a similar success. Because in this particular card, the creator talks about looking at what your fears are, doing a bit of shadow work, and in particular asking questions like, who am I envious of? Who am I in awe of? Who would I like to be like? What would I like to avoid? That kind of thing. And here, in terms of the context, we have the 10th house, the world, the career, how you're seen by the world, monetary success, status, all of those kind of things, with the earth element stability. And when we look at the secret keeper energy, we will be delving into this in a fair amount of detail as we go through the reading, but I don't feel like there's a hostility. I don't even feel like the people who may be the secret keepers here are deliberately keeping a secret from you. I think it's that they're people that you aspire to be like. And there's a lot to be said for aspirations. There's nothing wrong with that. But understanding that their secret may not be the same thing that you would need to be successful, or that instead of simply sort of like sitting off to the side and admiring and wondering and potentially sometimes envying, and we all do that sometimes, so no criticism meant, it might be better just to talk with them. Because I don't feel here, the energy here doesn't feel like they would hold that from you. It feels very open. It's like they really enjoy themselves. And maybe that's part of it, pile 1. Maybe the message here, and we'll see a little bit more with tarot and so forth, but one of the things I get from this is that the most successful people aren't necessarily the people who have a lot of money or who are famous or whatever it might be. They're the people who really enjoy what they're doing. The winners are the ones who enjoy the activity activity that they do, and then just by the sheer enjoyment they do it a lot and they get good at it and they master it. So there might be something here about the secret that's supposed to be revealed to you is not necessarily by them, but as a kind of example of them, that the thing for you to find your stability and your place in the world and your money and your success is to do the thing you really love to do. And that might be what this is about. And it's interesting, light into darkness, the amount of light, the light on this face, the light on that face, is a sort of a sense of I'm feeling like I'm not seen. So this is probably saying the only thing that distinguishes you from these other people, the secret that they really have, is that they love doing what they're doing. And how can you find the way to do that? And some of you may be saying, well, that's really easy to say, Helen, but I would really love to be a poet, but that's not going to pay. Well, it may be that taking a poetic way of expressing yourself in a job that pays money and then having time to do your poetry on the side is the way to do that. So it sort of depends on what it is. But let's get a little bit more of an idea in terms of tarot, because this does not feel to me like there is anyone deliberately keeping a secret from you. And that's good. That's a good starting point. I think it's more aspirational. So what we're going to look at first is, what is the secret? What is it why are they so happy? Then we're going to have a look at why is it being kept. Now, it isn't probably being kept deliberately, but what brings about that feeling that they have a secret that you're not in on? And then we'll look at a little bit more about the secret keepers, so that you can maybe, if you can't already identify them because you know who you admire, then we hopefully will get a little bit more information about it from tarot. So firstly, a little bit more about what is their secret. What is the secret? Six of Swords reversed, Knight of Pentacles, Seven of Wands, Ace of Wands reversed, Queen of Swords. Okay. So, firstly, one of the things for this secret of success, I think this is what it is. It's a secret of success, and it's a secret, if this is people that you admire, a secret that you could also emulate, because the reason that you're being drawn to these people is because you could emulate it. You might feel like they're in the sunshine and you're in the dark, but in actual fact, the whole message of this reading, I think, is you could actually achieve similar things in your own way. The first secret is it's not about the direction, it's about the dedication. So again, it's kind of like I say that it's not, oh, I must win this, it's, oh, I really enjoy what I do and I'm dedicated to doing it. So I remember seeing a movie years ago, I really loved it. It was called With Honours. It had Brendan Fraser, amongst other people, and I always liked Brendan Fraser, so I tended to watch his movies. And there's a character in that movie who talks to his character, and his character is very ambitious. At the beginning of the movie anyway. He kind of rounds out in a lot of ways as the movie progresses. And he says something like, and I'm not going to get this right anyway, I'm not going to breach copyright by quoting, but his basic argument, the advice is that winners are not worried about winning, they just love to run, or there's some sort of wording like that. So that's the energy here. That energy is it's not about so much the direction, it's about the dedication. And it's knowing when to step up, and it's knowing when to feel confident. Even if your idea is new, it's like backing that idea and having a plan. So it's kind of like these are almost the opposite. You might say these are almost the opposite. Like on one hand, it doesn't matter what the direction is. I just have to be dedicated. But over here, I need to have a plan. I think this is put your conceptual idea into the idea and into the energy and into the thing that inspires you. That's where you should put your energy, not into am I going to win or what's the long-term direction. It's like in the early stages, what gets me up in the morning, what really makes me want to run, what really makes me want to exercise, what really makes me want to turn on that computer and get into it, whatever it might be. And then be prepared to take the risks when it's necessary, knowing that your dedication has given you the skills. So again, if you were a runner, then you would probably be running each day and you'd be building up the musculature and the kind of the breathing technique and the heart strength and all of those sort of things. So it's a lot about dedication and about putting any kind of planning into what excites you. That seems to be the secret of success of these people that you are watching and you would like to be like. So why, well, if they're not keeping the secret deliberately, why does it feel like a secret? Let's ask that. Why does this feel like a secret? King of Swords reversed, Seven of Swords reversed. So, okay, all right. So, for a start, you're kind of different with Two of Wands reversed. You're not sort of like, and that's going to be your strength in the end. And this is another part of the secret, is that probably if you really knew the beginning of the people that you were admiring, they weren't exactly the same as anybody either. They now appear to almost have set a new norm or a new way of being because they've become successful, because they love what they're doing. But there was a point where they were just like you. So it's not really that it's hidden, it's just that you haven't seen their whole story. But the reason overall that you feel like this is some secret you can't do is that you've had someone very critical in your life. Probably a male, with it being a King of Swords reversed, but it doesn't have to be. And it's interesting because you've got the Queen of Swords upright here. It's you owning what you believe and think about and what excites you, rather than the kind of censure or the different opinion of someone else. There's someone who's almost told you it's unrealistic, that you're delusional, that you live in a dream world. But like the secret of this is that dream world is part of the terrain of what would excite you and make you successful. So you've had a force on you in your life, whether it's a parent, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a boss, could be anything, but they've made you think that it's unrealistic to just dream. Yeah, and they've made you think that their point of view is the right point of view, and it's not. So the secret is to get away from that. The secret is to start to realize what makes you different, and brought that about is the thing that's going to make you very successful. It actually reminds me of, like, I heard a story on some YouTube clip, and they were talking, I think it was about Keith Urban, the country singer, who's an Australian country singer in the beginning. So, obviously support fellow Aussies. And I think it was something like, maybe it was him who was telling the story and it was on The Voice. I can't remember. Anyway, the story was that when he was first, his band was first sort of starting to gig around, I think it was around the US. Yeah, like they get record company people coming to see them, but they wouldn't get the contract. And at one stage, one of the record company people said to them, the reason that's happening is because you are unique, but eventually that's the reason why you're going to be successful. And it turned out to be true, obviously. Since I'm quoting him and talking about him now, that's the energy for this. Part of the secret is sticking to what is authentically you and what really makes you excited, because that's what the other people who've been successful have done. Okay, so let's just get a little bit more idea about them. Just a little bit more information on the secret keepers, the ones that you aspire to be like. What else is that about them? Five of Pentacles reverse, the Tower, the Ten of Wands. Okay. Firstly, they don't do everything alone. They find their people, they get companionship. If they're not necessarily being understood in what they were trying to do in the beginning of their story, they find the people, they found their people. So a big part of this, and this is probably this energy to start with, if you have the enthusiasm, you'll start to constellate the right people around you. So that's the first step of success around this. Then they have a breakthrough. It doesn't happen till they start to get that critical mass. So again, it's like knowing that you're different and then using that to draw the energy that's right for you. And then it gets a lot easier. Like the breakthrough occurs and then a lot of the burden disappears. Then it appears effortless. This is why you may be a bit envious of them, or you might be a bit in awe of them, because it seems like, how do they do it so easy for them? Actually wasn't any easier than it will be for you. It's just that you've seen them at a different phase of their development. So that's very, very positive. So let's have a look at what's really clear, what's in the sunlight around this for you with the Queen of the Sun, and what might be a bit more hidden in the Queen of the Moon around this secret. So it's a very different sort of secret to what I expected for this, but it's a very positive secret. So let's see, what is the energy that's very clear at this point? Preparation. Okay, so very important to think about how you're preparing, how you begin. Begin as you intend to continue. That's why it's like, what do you love to do? What inspires you? Because there is a preparation time. This doesn't grow overnight. It didn't for them, and it's not going to for you. But if you start from that level of enthusiasm and build from that, the preparation will help you find the destination in the end. And then what's a little bit more hidden in terms of energy with the Queen of the Moon? Fear. Okay. Yeah. It is frightening, when you're going after what you really care about. Yeah, it is like, that's the other thing about really successful people. Ultimately, they do face their fears, because when we go after what we really love to do, and this is what this is talking about, we do have to face the fear that it may not work out or not to the amount that we need. And a lot of the time, we avoid the thing we really want to do, because to not succeed at that is so much more painful than to not succeed at something else. So I do think understanding the preparation can be a future proof against what you're afraid of, which is that it won't work. This is saying it will work. It has worked before, but the only way that this can work is to face your fears. Okay, so let's get a straight talking piece of advice on both of these then. Around the preparation itself, anything very clear and 3D and kind of pragmatic for you. Don't think that you're not good enough. You at the moment are thinking that. Like, understand what this thing is that's making you feel that way. But equally, if you are feeling that way, and if you say, look, it's almost impossible for me to not feel that way till I have some success, that's fine. Focus on the preparation. Don't worry about the outcome. Don't worry about the destination. Don't say I've got to be in X position in a year's time, because it's not. It's not as clear cut as that. The way that you can get over the worry that you're not good enough is to do really good preparation. And then what about dealing with the fear? Don't give in to the fear. Don't say no. Don't stop because of the fear. Just keep moving. That's what the people that you admire. This is the people who've been successful that are like what you would like to do. That's what they've done. You can do it too, pile one. Okay, so we're going to see, when... this is meant to be signs about when this was really going to be revealed in the 3D to you, but it's not quite the same as someone keeping a secret and then you find out. So I think this is more signs around the energies when you're starting to get it. You're starting to see this trajectory. You're starting to feel like you're moving in the right direction. And these might be challenging signs. Sometimes we get the challenges to find our people. We wouldn't find our people unless there were the challenges. So let's see what we get. Firstly, a couple of kind of 3D everyday energies that you'll experience. Strength. Yeah, you'll start to feel stronger. So that's good. So once you start feeling stronger, you start sort of like having a magnetic effect on bringing the right people into you. What else? Wow, marriage. For some of you, you might draw in very much your person. And if the actual secret is not about career, though I think for many of you it is, because of that kind of very earthy energy, but it could be drawing in a power couple or something like that, picking that up. But even if it isn't, even if what you're really looking at is how does everybody else seem to have happy relationships and I don't have one, you're going to find it, because you're going to find your people. So let's get an overarching sign from the liminal space. Now this could be a synchronicity that you see or dream about, or it could just be a sense of feeling when this is really starting to come into full focus for you. Backyard. Okay, past life, childhood memories, secrets, privacy. Okay, so there's a few things here. Firstly, finding your people, finding your home, finding your own backyard, finding your partner, whatever it might be. Feeling strong, that kind of innocence. What did you always want to do? What really always mattered to you? Getting into the core of that. But I think it's also really bringing to the core, bringing to the surface for you. What were the things that you heard when you were very young that made you doubt yourself? Because once you actually start getting through that, you start to find the right people and you start to feel strong. If you start to dream about your childhood and it reminds you of what you really wanted to do, that's a very good sign that you're heading in the right direction. But if it also helps you heal energies that were maybe negative at that point, that's also heading in the right direction, pile one. Okay, so let's get some astrology energy. Let's just get some pairings of planets. Let's look at it, one for you, one for those that have the secret, and then the resolution or the next steps forward. So energy for you, balancing planets, which would be helpful. Mercury and Saturn. Yeah, what are you saying to yourself? What is the old time, traditional things that you've said to yourself? What are your patterns of thinking, and what do you say to yourself that you need to break free of? You need to kind of be more kind to yourself, I think. That's really important. It's also, for some of you, might be saying that some sort of a career or success in communication is very sustainable once you start to use this for yourself. What's the planetary pairing around the secret keepers or secret keeper? Jupiter and Neptune. Yeah, see, they went with what they enjoyed with what they dreamed, and they believed in that. In fact, that was their guiding light. I'm going to expand and focus on what I enjoy and what is true to my spirit. That's an energy to connect in with. What makes you feel expansive? What makes you feel connected to the liminal space? And then the resolution energy for you in really taking on this secret. Sun and Mercury. Yeah, a lot of this has to do with how you talk to yourself. Instead of talking to yourself with, the kind of wording of the past and what authority figures have done, talk to yourself with your own sun energy, the preparation, the life path you want to go on, what makes you feel like you're in the light rather than going into the darkness. That's the way to think, and that's the way to talk to yourself. Remembering that the people that you admire and you emulate just believed in joy and believed in their spiritual path, and connect that together with how you think and who you think you are, and you really can't go wrong. So to finish off, we're just going to get you a blessing. So a blessing that arises from this secret being revealed. A blessing of the earth. Now, we started with earth and stability. Whatever it is that you want to manifest, whatever success you want to have, you can have, Palma. And this is the secret. You actually can. You can manifest it, all of that kind of thing. But you have to start realizing the thing that makes you different, the thing that makes you excited about life, is the path to follow. It may not be exactly the same as the people that you admire, and it's certainly not going to be the same as authority figures have told you in the past. But once you start to do the positive self-talk and you follow what gives you joy and keeps you excited, you'll naturally draw the right people to yourself. You're going to go from strength to strength, and in the end, you're going to get the stability up to massive success, whatever it is that you're yearning for, that it is that you're yearning for. So very, very positive message coming out of this secret. So I hope that it resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you come to the reading with Ophelia's ghost, which is really interesting, given that we have here some representations of secret keepers or a secret keeper. It could be a bit of both. I think it's actually two groups, but we'll get to that. And we also have some context astrologically. So we have the 9th house faith, which seems to fit very much there, and Sagittarius, which is also about philosophy, religion, freedom, and so forth, I see. And I think that connects to that energy. But Ophelia's ghost is a very interesting card to come into a secret that you need to learn, because it's picking up Ophelia from Hamlet, and Ophelia, of course, dies of a broken heart in Hamlet, and so in this context, she's then from the other side watching Hamlet and others play out their part in the actual play itself. So there's a sort of a sense here of separation and transformation and having a higher order perspective. So I think there is a secret here for you about faith and about a higher order perspective. And I think that there's sort of two elements. So what I'm getting with this is almost a manifestation of the secret, actually, rather than another person. It's kind of where you're heading. This has got to do with faith and you going through a very big spiritual evolution. So although there's almost a sadness or a loss that might have triggered it in some way, there is a sense of renewed faith. So part of the secret that is being revealed but has been hidden is that what you've gone through, a loss or something along those lines, is going to connect you stronger to your faith. But I also think there's a secret of someone else involved in this who is going to start to understand and see you better. And so I think they may be the one who reveals the secret in a way by seeing and admiring, I think, the way that you've dealt with a change and the way that you've actually shown your faith. But I think that they may even be a little bit surprised. I think that their energy might have not expected you to do that. Like when you think about Ophelia in the Shakespearean play, she doesn't have a huge direct function beyond, in a sense, the broken heart in relation to Hamlet. So her own agency is not so strong in that particular play. But the sense of this now being the ghost, seeing more, having the higher order perspective, it's you coming into a greater sense of agency. It is possible with this that there is actually someone who wants to limit you doing that. So we will see the nature of all this. We'll see with tarot as we go along. But whatever happens, I feel like your faith and your spirituality takes you through this, whether it's someone who finally recognizes this in you. So the secret that's going to be revealed is how much admiration someone now has to you, and maybe a change in perspective they have about you, or whether there's someone who actually wants to limit some of this energy for you, and you need to be aware of that. So whether this is a problematic, because it's an interesting expression. It could be someone who wants to limit something, or it could be someone who is coming to a realization that is surprising to them. So we'll just see the energy as we go through. So we're going to start with tarot, and we're going to look at a bit more about what is the secret. It may help us to work out, because I think this is almost the outcome of the secret, you coming to this higher order spiritual belief. So is the secret about trying to stop you seeing this, like to keep you almost limited in some way? And it may be done in a protective way. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone is doing this to hurt you. They may feel you're too sensitive or too spiritual for, the day-to-day things of the world, or they're trying to protect you from heartache. Or it could be someone who is more controlling and wants to keep control over you. So we're going to get a bit of a sense with tarot about what we're talking about. Then we're going to look at why is the secret being kept, which will give us even more of a sense about that. And then we're going to describe a little bit more about the secret keeper, which I think is being more represented here. So let's see, firstly, a little bit more about what the secret actually is. Five of Wands reversed, Four of Cups reversed, Judgment. Yeah, it's very spiritual. Ace of Cups, Justice reversed. So this is something very karmic, and I think that's also why you came to this particular card. Something that requires you to make a decision, and almost a kind of a sense of a judgment and an idea about something that is really of the spiritual side, but it is in an unjust situation. It's almost finding the spiritual core and the spiritual lesson and the spiritual growth and gift within something that was unjust. And it feels as though part of the secret here is that you've almost been I think it is a kind of control, actually. Again, whether it's meant to be to hurt you, or maybe, I don't actually think it is to hurt you per se. I think it's to protect the other person, but they may project out that they're protecting your heart in an unjust world. So that is possible. And this is a collective reading, so it could go either way. But what I'm really feeling is that the secret under all of this is that there is a person in your life. I feel most likely like a parent or a sibling or a friend rather than a lover. But, if you feel it's a lover, then go with that, who has their own emotional blocks and they're avoidant of dealing with them. So they kind of almost stop anybody from finding the good or the growth or the spiritual understanding of something that goes wrong. They're likely to sort of almost not allow the conversation, or if they allow the conversation, only allow it in a sense of looking at what was unjust rather than what could come out of it. Like you're in a spiritual growth phase, and this person is not ready for that yet. They're very avoidant of any kind of emotional issue. The sad thing is, if they could listen to you, they'd be better off. Like, you've got a secret that they don't have really, but I think there's a controlling energy here that is trying to kind of like make you stay in an emotional trap along with them. That's what it feels like. And it may not be conscious, but your spirituality, you're going to sort of rise above it. You have a perspective now. Having lost something or having been hurt on some very profound level, maybe even by them, you have this higher order perspective. And I think they can't hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to know. It's like, being, they say red-pilled politically or something like that. If the other person hasn't been, they don't want to know, that kind of energy. Okay, so why are they trying to keep you? Why is this secret? The secret is that they don't want to face certain things, so they don't want other people to either. So why is that going on? King of Pentacles, the Emperor reversed, Death card. Okay, So this has got something, it's either got to do with a love relationship, and this is not about gender or whatever, but like it's either like a divine masculine sort of energy to a divine feminine or something like that. I don't think it is the other person in the love relationship. I think this is like another person, a parent or a friend or something like that, who has a whole issue around all of that. Or it's got to do with authority in some way. You may be breaking away from authority, or you may want to break away from authority to follow something that feels more spiritually right for you. But they, even if they don't really like the authority, because I don't think they do, they feel secure in this situation. So they don't want you to break away from it. They don't want anybody to. It feels very family oriented, to be honest. So, and they also think there's plenty of time for that. You know, you can have your dreams later. Like right now is not the time. That would be kind of what they would be saying. You're too young, or it's just not the right time. Because judgment says that there's a decision coming from this spiritual awakening for you that needs to happen pretty quickly. Otherwise the opportunity passes. Whereas the death card, they think, yeah, there is a big change. I can get there's a big change, but not yet. You know, you've got plenty of time. Like it feels a lot like, you know, if you're a young person, you know, like one of your parents not wanting you to leave home yet. And you know this kind of, you need to follow your path, but they're going, you've got plenty of time for that. But this is part of, they're avoidant. The issue is that they're avoidant. I don't think that they're deliberately keeping a secret from you, but that the fact that they have that motivation, they're keeping from you. Okay, so let's get a little bit more idea about this person to try and describe them. And I think it is a person, pile too. If you've come to the right reading, you probably know who this is. Hermit reversed, Ace of Wands, Three of Pentacles. Okay, it's not a friend. So I'd say it's family or a work colleague or something like that. It is possible it's a lover. So for some of you, it might be. I mean, I think for most of you, though, it's not. I feel like maybe a broken heart has led you to sort of want to go and do something more spiritual or whatever. But whoever this is doesn't want you to sort of fly the coop yet or whatever it is. But I think it is saying not a friend. So I think this is probably family. This person is actually quite out in the world. And this is the thing that probably also seems odd about it, because it feels like they're not wanting you to be out in the world, but they are actually out in the world. And on the face of it, they're very dynamic. They're very passionate. They go after what they want. That's on the face of it, though, because underneath they're actually really conflict avoidant. And they could be a little bit threatened by you. That might be the other thing. They may be a bit avoidant of that side of things. Plus, maybe there's something in the sort of spirituality you have that doesn't accord with what they want to do. So they don't want to hear about that. Their way of dealing with whatever the blocks are to pursue something in the outside world that they want, and you have a more spiritual approach to it, and they've got a problem with that. But there's a lot of like denial in this person. I don't think they're necessarily that aware. The secret that they're trying to keep is their own insecurity, I think, but they don't appear like that on the face of it. But if you really think about it, you'll realize this person they avoid conflict. They like to be out in the world and appear this way. They don't play well with others either. They're kind of very alone operator as well. Okay, so in this secret, there's going to be stuff that's very obvious to you as it starts to come out, and there's other stuff that might feel like it's going to remain hidden. So we're going to use the Queen of Sun for what is clear in the clear day, and the Queen of the Moon for what is a bit more hidden at night. So the energy that's kind of going to become increasingly clear to you about this secret is, wow, beauty. Yeah, I got to say, this does feel a lot like maybe female envy, or it could be male envy, like male to male, female to female, but it does sort of feel a bit like that. Your beauty, what you could draw to yourself, and the beauty even of your spirituality may be compared to sort of beauty in other ways. It's going to become quite obvious that is an energy operating with this. It feels like envy, like underneath everything, this feels like an envy, but it manifests more in them like telling you on a cautionary level, you know, don't sort of risk that, or don't go in that direction, or whatever it might be. Let's have a look at what remains a bit more hidden. Beginnings, yeah, the fact that you could start something new, you could do something new, that you're meant to go through this door. You know, this is a spiritual calling, but like it's sort of hidden in the midst of like what feels like emotional manipulation. So just being aware of that. I don't think this person means you direct harm. They might be a little bit envious of you, I think, but I think they'd be envious of a lot of people. They don't want to show that, but yeah, it's very passive aggressive. Okay, so let's get you some straight talking energy to deal with that. So firstly, to deal with, it's got something to do with competition and jealousy and so forth, with beauty, I think. Maybe. Look, and this actually is interesting because I feel, as I say, I feel like this person doesn't necessarily know they're doing this. So there could be still beauty in this person. There could be still things that are worth being around. I think it depends. It's like, is this a short-term thing where their own fears, you become aware of them and then you still follow what you do and you remain friends? Or does it become more and more, I mean, this is blue-eyed, but almost feel like green-eyed, like a little bit more the jealousy comes up. I think depending upon who's come to this reading, it may resolve itself. That part of it might. And what about beginnings? This is not a time to isolate yourself. So that's interesting. I mean, it's a spiritual thing, but you're meant to be out in the world with it. But also be aware that might be also something that they use as a bit of a way to as I say, passive aggressively stop you doing something. So I almost feel like they could be saying when you're going, I've got this pathway I want to go on, this spiritual vision, I want to go and do X, Y, and Z, and that's going to mean that you're sort of dealing with some other people doing something differently. They might go, well, maybe you could, maybe you're ready, but you're going to be quite alone. You don't really know what's happening with that. Like, I feel like this is giving some hints about how you could be kind of manipulated by this person. As I say, they're just avoiding change. They're scared of change. They don't want to know about it yet. They think there's plenty of time. So that's the kind of underpinning of everything. Okay. So let's have a look at some signs of energy, both in the 3D and also in the liminal, around when you have become more and more clear on what this secret is. So a couple of things sort of in the 3D world that might manifest around working out who this person is if you haven't already, and like how it's really manifesting and what it's really all about. The iced coffee. Okay, it might be in a very social environment. I almost feel that. I actually feel for that with the energy of this. If you think about it, coffee, is meant to be kind of to rev you up and get you really, really energetic, but ice cools it down. It's a very cool customer, actually, or they appear to be that way. That's this combination, I think. They appear to be really cool. They appear to be very self-confident. But once you start to understand that there's almost like a contradiction of terms, not to say that iced coffee is bad, but there's almost a contradiction of terms, the thing that cools down and the thing that revs up. If you start to see that every time you start revving up, they cool you down. Every time you start cooling down, they rev up. It's sort of like, it may even be that kind of competition where they feel if you rise in the world, they fall. And goblin mode. Yeah, they want you to just kind of like settle in and not do anything. I think it's just going to be encouraging you not to do what you want to do. So that's the sign. So let's see what there is from the liminal space. This could be a synchronicity. It could be a dream that you have. It could be something you see in meditation, or it could just be a combination of feelings that tells you, I'm getting this now. I'm seeing how this is limiting my spirituality and what it actually means. Teeth. Power, success, ego, sense of control. Yeah, this is about ego. There's a lot about ego here, identity. It could be a smile, like it seems to be very friendly. And this person seems to really care. They're a friend, but they're not really a friend. But they might appear that way, or they might be within your family or something like that. They're not a friend as such, but they seem to be on your side. But there's something almost a little bit false about it. So it could be that. The other thing is that teeth falling out in dreams is often like a fear of passion and so forth. So you might start to sense and understand that they are more fearful of the passion than it appears like they are in some way. Okay, so let's have a look at some astrology energy as well. What we're going to do is we're going to get a pairing of planets for you, what you need to take from this, a pairing of planets around their energy, and then a pairing of planets around the resolution. So for you, Jupiter and Uranus. Yeah, like this is basically change that is beneficial for you. Do not get slowed down. This is something, even if it seemed to come from a loss or something sad, the sort of spiritual growth of this is going to be very beneficial, and it's meant to be a breakthrough for you. So don't let this other person dissuade you from going into the change and making the decision when you feel it's right. What about the energies around them? Venus and Venus. You know, I feel like, I keep thinking, I feel like this is like two female friends together, even though it's not a friend, like maybe two female family members together, or two potentially male family members together too. And it's got to do with almost a competition on what is beautiful or what is worthy. This person's very, very much obsessed with that sort of thing. That's part of what the competition is. They also may want harmony above all things. As I say, they don't want conflict. And you're more prepared to deal with loss and pain and conflict and grow from it. They do not want to move on that level. And the resolution energy for you. Moon and Saturn. You have to be a little bit firm about what you're going to accept emotionally, but it's also the amount of emotional, the new beginnings pointing to that, you know, breaking free from the old and from the painful thing. That whatever was painful is meant to bring you a new beginning, particularly spiritually, and it's meant to give you faith. But this is an energy that's almost trying to draw you back into the tide and that you get towards the shore that you're meant to reach. So if you know where that is coming from and you stick with the plan, so to speak, for you, then you should be fine. Because I don't think, as I say, I don't think it's malefic. I just think it's a little bit desperate and it's a little bit lost. And you're not really that sort of person. Okay, so to finish off, because it is a bit of a tricky one, let's get you a blessing. Just a blessing that will sort of help to protect you as you navigate this particular secret. A blessing to ease loneliness and bring companionship. Okay, if this is like someone who you really relied on, family, I mean, if they were a friend but they're not really a friend, and that's what you actually start to understand, that this friend was not really a friend, or if they're a family member and you thought they were kind of like a friend, or they were the people that you were with, you're going to find something else. Or even if it was that you just lost a companion, you know, you lost a love, you lost something like that, you're going to come through this. This is what this is all about. Don't let this draw you back or make you doubt yourself. So I hope that resonated for you. It's a bit tricky, but I think you're more than capable of dealing with it. Hope it was helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to work your magic. What we also have here is some representation of either the secret keeper, if it's two aspects of the secret keeper, or secret keepers that are important to this, and then some context. I've got to say there's two things that really jump out at me with this, and with the second one kind of like almost take the gender out of it if it doesn't work. But the first one I get is a sort of sense of you becoming very powerful and people being kind of jealous of that on one hand, or possibly a little bit in awe. Though this actually feels in this energy to me a little bit, it doesn't feel all that positive, I have to say. And it's not just because this one isn't positive. What those two together make me think of is mean girl energy. And that's why I'm saying, like, maybe don't go too much with the gender if it isn't women involved. But I just feel like there's a kind of hostility and a kind of almost, it feels like, I mean, it will depend on context, but because of this being a secret, because of the energy that's here, I feel like this feels like a mean girl energy, like a kind of a almost social derision or whatever, as well as anger, like people being angry or you're different or something. But it's because of your power. Because we have here work your magic, which is like you may not be sure how to manifest what you want, but you actually really do have the capacity to do it. And it's like people see that and they sense it. So they're kind of envious and angry and they try and almost put you down or something like that. But we have your destiny, like you have a destined purpose. And then we have the North Node, life's purpose. You're a very powerful individual. And this is why it also feels like mean girl energy, because certainly like my memory of high school, and I think most people's, were the people who were really different and who actually did tend to be powerful later on in life were often the ones that were not liked, weren't the most popular in school, weren't the most celebrated there. They were different in some way. They were a bit more independent thinking, and they often didn't fall into the cliques. They often got this kind of like energy coming at them. So I feel like whether or not you're probably not in high school at this point in time, most people I read for are quite a bit older than that, and much more established. But there is an energy like that. The more that you come into your power, the more you find your life purpose, the more you're going to get this sort of competitive energy that on one hand might come across like just anger, like who are you and what are you doing, and so forth. And others that actually just try to be almost derisive. Like one of the things I get from this is that some of you may be very powerful politically or socially, because this almost feels like, like some of the sort of stuff that I see online around politics, like the kind of degree of almost hatred that each side has for the other, and like a kind of combination of hatred for the other and I'm so much better than the other. That's kind of what the energy feels like. It feels like you becoming more and more in your power in some social or political context. And so the secret that is not being revealed to you, or which will be revealed through this, is that these sort of responses, the more you get this kind of response, the more you're actually coming into your power. And they don't respond. Like if you look at the people that either side attack the other side, and they both do it. Like I'm not choosing sides in this, and I pay a lot of attention to US politics because it's so this sort of energy really. They don't put their derision or their ire on people who lack power. It's quite the opposite on both sides. So that is an allegory of this. You don't have to be in a political situation, but it's a similar sort of energy, but it has to do with you know who you are. You actually don't need the group. And this might be part of the revelation. This might be part of the secret that needs to be revealed, that this group, these people, are neither actually superior, nor does it really matter if they're angry. There's a kind of a jealousy energy operating here, but they're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you you're wrong or that you're lesser. So it's worth knowing what's really going on there. So let's get a little bit more information about the secret. Then we're going to get a little bit about why is it being kept from you, and then a little bit more about, I think, the energy of the secret keepers. I think it's more than one, and it might be a slightly multifaceted secret too. But I think it's all about reactions to your own personal power that might, surprise you if you knew them. So a bit more about the secret. Two of Pentacles reversed, Ten of Cups reversed, Four of Wands reversed, Knight of Wands, Two of Cups reversed. Okay, some of this might be around jealousy around a love situation. You might be the one that somebody is interested in, and everybody might be either trying to tell you to stay away or tell you, oh, this person wouldn't be interested. Like that's a possibility when I sort of see the Two of Cups reversed there. But the thing that really strikes me when I look at this, I mean, saying the mean girls energy, right? So, and, growing up, I remember my mother saying at one point, when I used to have friends come round, when this is like early teens, okay, that's very much a particular developmental stage, but it's to give a bit of a sense of the energy. And we would all kind of bicker with each other all the time. Then we'd be friends, and then we'd bicker, and then we'd be friends. And my mother said to me, sometimes I think that you and your friends are held together by mutual dislike. And that wasn't true, but there was an energy of it in a way. I think that's a developmental stage, though. As I say, like, I don't think that you're that age or that these people are that age, but it's kind of a little bit of a throwback to that time where the reason that that's going on developmentally is you don't really know who you are at that thing. And on one level you want to be accepted, but on another level you want to be you, and there's a kind of a battle in what that actually means, and it tends to come out that way. That's why you get the mean girl energy and so forth. But there's a bit of that, because looking at this, there is real, if you think that you're the one who's on the outer and everybody else is actually just angry at you or thinking lesser of you and they're all in harmony, they're not in harmony. Like part of the secret is they dislike each other as well. Like in this scenario, there's a kind of a blanket dislike and a blanket competition. You're not, if you feel excluded from something that was good when you're following your path, you're not excluded from anything good. It's like you can be happy to be away from it. Follow what you do, move forward with what you do. This is not a situation where you can become harmonious with these people. It isn't even a choice. So it's like you couldn't shift them even if you wanted to. And it's partly because you're too powerful for them and they're just not going to be able to deal with it. So let's have a look at why are they keeping the secret. So I think we're starting to sort of see why that is already. The moon reversed, Seven of Pentacles reversed, Strength, High Priestess. Boy, this, like there's a couple of things actually. I'll get to the High Priestess in a second. This does feel like a developmental stage. So it's almost like there's a, as I say, I'm sure that you're not in that age group, but there is, it's like almost a reversion. I mean, sometimes I think, we just keep repeating high school in different ways even when we're older. So it feels like that's the kind of energy that's operating here. Because it's like, it feels like ungrown. It feels like things that are immature ways of thinking, immature sense of self. I think by comparison to you, I think you very much know who you are. I don't think these people do. And the last thing they want is for that to be seen, but they're worried that it's seen. Like if they're around someone like you who's very confident in your purpose, that they feel that shows that they're not, and they want to appear strong. Particularly, potentially spiritually. You have a very strong spiritual thing. This might be a spiritual group. And this does happen again. Often you find amongst quote-unquote spiritual people that there's a kind of a who's the most psychic, who's the most spiritual, who's the most, who has the most archangels, who has the highest archangel. There's all that kind of stuff. And you really know who you are. These people may not. These people may not. So an example of that might be if you're very naturally psychic and you have a sense of your life purpose and you go forward with that with confidence, they might, call you, kind of evil. Oh, you're evil. You read tarot cards, you're evil, or something like that. There's some sort of energy, or, oh, that's not the higher order spirituality. I do the higher order spirituality, but only the special ones get to do this, or whatever it may be. So there is with many of them something very spiritual about this, but it's also, gee, they want this secret kept. The last thing they want to be is being looked at. So almost by directing the anger or the derision at you, they have a dual purpose of hopefully making you feel less confident, but also deflecting any energy from them. Okay, so then let's have a little bit more of a look at them, though I think we're getting a pretty good idea. The Hanged Man, the Eight of Swords reversed, the Page of Wands. Okay, so a couple of things about this. One is that these are professional victims to some degree. Like they will, if you tried to sort of like turn anything on them, they would instantly be saying you were attacking them or you were like doing the wrong thing or whatever. Like if they can't win in the I'm the strongest or have the most purpose, then they'll go I'm the most victimized. So that's part of who they are. The sad thing is if they could free themselves of that, this actually have a lot of like talent, lots of other things, but it's like instead of freeing their mind and following their own creativity, it's easier. It's easier to be in the group. It's easier to look down on others. And if anything, if they're called on anything, they will, like they're the classic ones that would bully you. And when you actually say you're a bully, they'd say you were bullying them. Like that's the energy that's operating here. And it comes from a lot of insecurity. So with secrets, we have often what becomes very, very clear in the light of day and what remains a little bit more hidden. So to represent that, I've got the Queen of the Sun oracle for what is seen, and the Queen of the Moon, what remains a bit more hidden in this secret. So Queen of Sun energy about what will become clearer. Wow, that came up for one of the others, preparation. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. One of your strengths, it's even the fact, that this person here is reading a book, right? You actually do the work. You've prepared yourself each step of the way. You know what your purpose is. You're getting ready. You've kind of got that kind of resolute energy, and that will become more and more clear. And the more that this energy comes at you, the more your preparation will prove to be a very powerful thing. So it doesn't really matter what they do. Might be irritating. I think it would be very irritating actually, but it doesn't really matter what they do. What about what remains hidden? Beginnings. That came out for one of the other ones too. Some of you might be going to more than one, which is fine. I think this is actually their beginnings, to be frank. I think what remains hidden, unless they actually free themselves from this victim mentality and they start to look at their own beginnings, The irony about this is that the more that you prepare and move forward with resolution, the more they don't see their own beginnings. Because it's the other thing that happens. If you spend your time being a professional victim and looking for ways to drag other people down, you're not looking for what you could create yourself. So I think in a weird way, this is a secret which the more they keep it, the more it hurts them. It doesn't hurt you. This can't hurt you, particularly if you realize the dynamic that's going on. So let's get a couple of straight talking pieces of advice here around what is visible and what is hidden. So around what is visible, the preparation that you've been doing. Okay, are you being stressed? Or is this stressing you? If you are feeling stressed by it, then look at how you prepare. That's all you need to do because you're way ahead. But when you're stressed, go back to first principles. Go back to your preparation. What about around what is more hidden, which is they're hiding their own potential from themselves, I think. Mind, body and soul. Yeah, they've got to get that into balance. It's possible that some might, but it's almost as though the only way they could is if they started to like watch what you were doing and be humble enough to follow your lead. I don't know whether by and large these people are, but maybe some have that potential, but it's not visible yet. Okay. So let's see some everyday signs and then also a liminal sign for you when you are becoming more clear of this secret, it's becoming more obvious to you. What sort of ways might it manifest or energies might it manifest in your 3D life? Firstly, the takeaway. Okay, so there's a few things with this. It could be the takeaway from this is just to know it. That's all you need to know. So it could be a play on words. Otherwise, I think you sort of see that some of these connections are like fast food. They're not nourishing. They're not going to give you the strength you need. And that what they're doing is not nourishing either. So I think there's a kind of an understanding about what to move forward with your life purpose and, whether these relationships are the right ones. And the existential crisis. I don't think you're having that. I think you're going to see them or you're going to start to understand that's exactly what's going on. Okay. But if you do feel an existential crisis, then remember the takeaway from this is that it's your strength that's bringing this about. And you're not a professional victim and you are well prepared. Okay, so let's also look at a liminal space thing. That could be a synchronicity, it could be dreams, it could be meditation, could be, a song you hear when you're walking through the shopping mall. It could just be the feelings that you're dealing with. Face, identity, integrity, confidence, emotions, authenticity. It's all about you being authentic, knowing who you are, showing your face, and also keeping face. Face is also about like feeling seen in a positive way. So it may be that if this really comes to the surface, it could be a group that turns against you and you feel like you've been embarrassed. That might give you the takeaway, the existential crisis, to know this is actually about them, not about you. Otherwise, it's how you present yourself. That's important to this. And also, are they being authentic or are they showing their true face as well? Or are they wearing a kind of a mask or being two-faced? Okay, so let's get some astrology. What we're going to do is we're going to look at planetary pairings. We're going to do a planetary pairing for you in dealing with the secret, a planetary pairing for them around their energy, and then a planetary pairing around the resolution for you. So for you, we have Moon and Chiron. Yeah, you need to heal a bit from this because it's not really, it's not. But you also need to understand, see, this is again like Moon and Chiron in a negative way. I think this might be telling you something about them. A negative thing of Moon and Chiron is the professional victim. I think you don't need to be that. You can heal from this energy, but the way of healing from it is understanding that's where it's coming from. What about them? Uranus and Pluto. Wow, they're combustible. A lot of this is like kind of flash in the pan. They know they need to change. Very, very, like it has a whole political feeling to it. Like it feels exactly like those political energies. It's like really angry, really combustible, but it's kind of fractured energy. That's just unrelenting change. As I say, they're not friends amongst themselves either. And the resolution energy is Moon and Uranus is is connecting or understanding the impact of change on emotions and the volatility of this, not letting it happen, like healing the energy and not becoming a victim of them and then becoming like them. Like it's like you're going through a change energy, you're strong enough to do it, and you can heal from the emotional slings and arrows, so to speak, but you just need to know that. You need to understand. It's also what makes you different is what makes you strong. Okay, tricky energy, but you're more than on top of it. It's only happening to you because you're stronger than they are. So let's just finish up with a blessing for knowing this secret, pile 3. A blessing on a new venture. So go forward with confidence, like focus. Focus on what you want to do. Don't let this energy stop you from doing something. And this may be exactly what you need to liberate yourself from those that get you caught in a spiral so that you can actually go towards your destiny. But you're meant to. You're meant to be successful. You're meant to follow your destiny. That's what this is all about. So you understand the kind of energy that comes to someone like you. And if you start to understand that's actually pretty normal and it's a sign of your strength, then you can move forward. So I hope that resonates, and I hope it was helpful. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.